So, first of all, I'd like to say, for all yous that have been following my last videos, you get that I made remarks about Star Wars and how I was a big fan. I mean, I've got a picture I've got a statue of Leia up there. Okay, I bought umpteen box sets of it. I've got the Empire of Dreams, the story of George Lucas. I started a George Lucas group. I bought thousands of merchandise on it, toys and stuff like that. It's all in the garage. And it all ended when I saw Force Awakens. Here's the last DVDs of the Star Wars movies I'll buy. Or sometimes I'll buy maybe the cartoons or something like that. But that is my complete story of Star Wars. And it's my own personal choice to do that. And I've got no interest in other. As soon as I saw Force Awakens, I went, I've got a bad feeling about this. You know, I've got a bad feeling about this. And then I heard all the stuff that was going on with The Last Jedi, and everything I heard from it just nearly just ripped out my heart. And I just feel like Kathleen Kennedy's totally destroyed it. And so I decided to stop watching it. And it didn't make as much money. People would flock to see it because they were excited about it, but then once they did see it, people just didn't bother going back to see it again. You know, probably people that weren't fans thought it was okay and thought it was different, but people like myself that were into the mythology and all that stuff behind that, you know, the expanded universe, you know what I mean, and who bought games and bought like the Bible of the Force and all that sort of stuff, they were just, what is this? How could they do this to these characters? How could they do that to Mark Hamill, the treatment of them and stuff? And it was this Kathleen Kennedy's and her vision of what they wanted to do, and you know, they got a director on board with Force Awakens, and they somehow thing with the story and tried to push it towards their sort of belief in what Star Wars should be in the future. You know, Kathleen Kennedy had her own agenda with this, what she believed to be, you know, the past Star Wars films believed to be not for girls, which was ridiculous, and forced this sort of agenda of them onto the movies. Now, when I first heard of Kathleen Kennedy being involved, I actually thought, yeah, okay, yeah, she knows it. She's been friends with Steven Spielberg, George Lucas. She can probably handle this. And no, so she got involved, and there was talks about directors and J.J. Abrams came on board with the first one. He wasn't, he didn't do the second one. He had different ideas for the second one. They brought this new director in that sort of shared the vision or whatever. So, studio meddling. Now, so far recently, we've been hearing that Han Solo is not doing as good as the studio pretended to believe. It was going to do good, you know, it was going to be estimated into, you know, the high money. But for a Star Wars film, it's not doing as good as they projected. Why is that? And so I put that down. Sorry, I'm thinking in my hair because I'm seeing it and it's late at night and I'm full scruffy. Why is that? Studio meddling. We look at Justice League, and I'm surprised at Justice League. It's not until I do some research and I look at the trailers for Justice League and I look at the film. Even though I love the film, there's so much change, so much editing that seemed to be not. I don't know why they changed it, and I've always spoke about this scene where Zack Snyder took a picture of Commissioner Gordon looking up to Batman and you could see him in focus, and Joss Whedon changed that. Then there's a scene where Aquaman and Wonder Woman in the trailers in this warehouse and they're kind of standing together, but then in the movie that's been put to the very end of the movie. And then just the change of the colour and the tone of the whole thing. You've got Zack Snyder on some sort of web being asked about what about the Russian family? Can you explain the Russian family? And Zack Snyder doesn't. What Russian family? What? And and then you look at what Justice League made and the projections. It's I made videos before on who's to blame, and for me it was everybody. It wasn't down to just Warner Brothers. It was down to the director as well, and because it's and the tone and everything else. But this video's not about what other people are involved. This is just the hammering of bad handling, bad management from the people who are supposed to be loving the project, and you've got to love the project that you're working on. And with Zack Snyder's film Justice League, as I've said before, he was planning to do maybe a 5 arc. There was stories about how he would go from Justice League 1 and 2 and finish off with another Superman movie, because that'll be the whole story, and then from there you could have got a whole, they could have whole rebooted it, but at least you would have had the Zack Snyder story. Would Zack Snyder's film would it have made more money? Would it would be more? Who knows, to be honest. Who knows if what they did was right, if it would have made more money. But what would have happened would be probably the editing side of things and the story side of things would have gelled more if he was allowed to give that time in a movie. And that was, to me, what happened with BVS. BVS Ultimate Cut was a lot better because it took its time to tell the story. Now, I don't know how much Infinity War, how long that is, but the last time I heard it was, it was a longer film. That's because it's had time to tell it. Studios are fixed on movies being no longer than 2 hours. And if it's a good story, you can have a film on for 3 hours. And as I said in my other videos, majority of people that left Justice League felt like it was too short, and they didn't feel like they were sitting for 2 hours. I'd also had a guy in my works watch Temple of Doom and thought it was slow. You're never going to please everybody. You're never going to please. But I just feel, as I'm tracking Han Solo just now, and it's really not making as much money. I still hear people say, "Oh, I'm going to see Star Wars and whatnot," but they're coming from people that are not into the mythology, and that somehow is looking for a story and doesn't know the Han Solo backstory of how he actually freed Chewbacca. And for Star Wars fans, we already know how Han Solo met Chewbacca. But I'm drifting off the subject. I'm just finding that there is a connection between this, not this particular story, but Star Wars that we have just now with Justice League, and it is the meddling of something that is loved. Now, granted, Justice League, BVS, and Man of Steel, the majority of people uh, didn't like those films. Man of Steel, I hope one day people will recognise. And then with BVS Ultimate Edition, I hope one day people will sit and watch the Ultimate Edition. But there is a lot of people out there that don't follow YouTubers, that don't know about Joss Whedon. They still think Joss Whedon was brought on by Zack Snyder, and he wasn't. He was just brought in to re-edit a film that Zack Snyder had already filmed the majority of, and Joss Whedon was tasked to lighten the tone and make the film shorter. So he took the work of somebody else and changed it. And with Star Wars The Last Jedi, they took grand ideas from what was previously written for Luke and changed it. And I believe The Last Jedi had a lot of editing problems as well. There was a lot of stuff in that just looked like they threw in at the last minute. And I believe, what is the biggest mistake? The biggest mistake is once a film studio hires a director, the director should be left alone, finish the film, tell the film they want to do, and get it out there. They do not change a director during the half of it or whatnot. Get one vision, and I'm not talking, when I say visionary, I don't mean, how Zack Snyder's good at visual stuff, but he had a vision for a story to tell. And for somebody that had done majority of the work, they should have respected it, and they should have left it alone for it to be finished his way. Then once the film was out, then they make the move whether to either replace or change the future by the next movie. No other director should touch another, let's call them artist's work. And it goes the same for Star Wars. This was George Lucas' baby, and the biggest mistake Lucas did, and he probably regrets it now, is selling it to DC, selling it to Disney. And not only selling it to Disney, but selling his baby to a point where he has no say on the upbringing of it. He has basically disowned his thing. He has disowned it. In a way, how does he feel about the fans that he gathered for so many years, that loved his stuff? His films will always be remembered and loved. But as what Kathleen Kennedy says, how many people haven't seen, this generation or the next haven't even seen the original Star Wars? That's up to previous generation to pass this stuff down and say to the next generation, this is Star Wars. What follows after this isn't. So yeah, bottom line, once you have a thing, once you have a product, you have to be faithful to the visionary. For Star Wars, it was George Lucas, and with this DCEU, it was Zack Snyder. Like it or love those films, doesn't make a difference. This was his universe that he was creating. After Justice League or whatever, or after each film he had finished, Warner Brothers could have easily stepped in and says, right, okay, finish this story, we'll reboot it now into this. And when I say reboot, I don't mean recast or re-end, but put a new feeling into it if it was that bad, but we'll never know that. And sadly, as well, we'll never know what would have happened with Zack Snyder's visual story, and we'll never know the potential that Star Wars would have been given if it was handled correctly, with the right fans behind it, with the right people behind the scenes handling the Star Wars, because it is too late for Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. They can't somehow turn back the clock and get these three iconic characters on the same screen. It's too late now. And no matter what Star Wars does now, it is dead in the water. But there is still a chance for the DC, for it going forward. But they've got to learn the lessons. They have got to allow the directors to get it done their way. And the biggest apology DC could ever do, or Warner Bros. Could ever do, would probably be that they released the Snyder Cut. And that would have been, and given fans something that they could forgive them for. Because it's very unlikely fans could forgive Star Wars, could forgive Disney. And that's to me what makes them two of my passions feel just that much connected. And I can't believe it's happened in my lifetime that two franchises that were so good and so high up in everybody's opinion has been treated this way. Thank you.